Jays today's show, and today, guys, we had a very, very interesting week. We got swept, we then swept, and now we're going into a new week where we've got some very tough opponents because the Blue Jays schedule is about to get insanely harder for the next month and a half. So we got to be on our best behavior as the Blue Jays, and as fans, we got to be ready to support the boys as they're going to go through some pretty difficult times. We're going to talk about that, another MLB news, and much, much more, including a Matt Chapman potential extension. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And yeah, guys, roller coaster of a week last week. Just managed to salvage it with that sweep in Pittsburgh. And now the tough competition continues, folks. There is a lot of good teams that we are going to be facing. We got to talk about that, the extension, and much more. But before we do, let's take a look at the whole league. Usually in these shows, we like to start out broad, and the best way to do that is to pull up these standings, bro. We are now a little bit more than a month into the season, and at this point, you're starting to get a pretty strong idea as to what these teams are made of. You know, as to who these identities are, right? You have all these preseason conceptions, that you made. Now we're starting to actually learn about it, and there has been a lot of surprises so far this season. Mm-hmm. I mean, who the hell expected the AL East to be all over 500, right? You can say that you're good, but this is incredible, right? There's been a lot of stuff that's happened so far in the season that we didn't see coming, and I think there's a perfect opportunity for both of us to go through right now, look at these divisions, just say, what is the biggest surprise for you right now in baseball? In baseball as a whole, or with the team, or whatever. You interpret that how you will, but what is the biggest surprise so far a month into the season?
Dude, you know what? I had this before the show began, but then I took a look at these standings just right here, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to change it. I think this one's even a bigger surprise. Before I was going to say the New York Mets, no. I think the biggest surprise right now is the Cardinals. They are looking bad. They're 11-24 to begin the season, and they're not just bad. They're bad. They've got booed off the field by their own fans. The whole thing with Wilson Contreras being switched down to a permanent DH, you know what that means, bro? That means an upper manager came out with the announcement. Upper manager just doesn't say, yeah, you're no longer going to catch anymore. That must mean that the pitchers and team members say, yeah, this isn't really working.
Yeah.
We got to switch it over. I mean, they're so used to Yadier Molina over all these years. You're bringing Wilson Contreras to hopefully fill that void. And it has not worked, and the pitching has looked horrible. Their bats are off to cold starts. Tyler O'Neill, the Canadian, got benched. This isn't looking good, and no one, and I say nobody, expect them to be last. I had them for World Series favorites,
100%,
in my opinion.
100%, dude. I do think at some point or another, they have to figure it out.
Yes.
But that lineup, that pitching, all of it is abysmal. I mean, yesterday, Paul Goldschmidt had a 3-home run game, and he had to do that to win the game. He literally had to do that to win the game. And when you're looking at these standings, right, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, but the Washington Nationals have more W's than you.
I know.
Who plays on that team?
Dude,
Who plays on the Nationals?
The Cardinals are the worst team in the National League. They are the worst team record-wise in the National League. No one saw that coming.
That is insanity.
Yeah.
That is absolute insanity to me. And we understand, guys, that this is just a month into the season, but when you are that bad, when you're literally the worst team in your entire thing, when you are that bad, you're 11-24, that's a hole that you might not be able to get out of.
Well, here's the thing, man. We're a month into the season. You can say that about a player. He's a month into the season, he'll get warmed up. Other guys on the whole team are going to pick up for the slack. There's nobody picking up the slack on these Cardinals. So that's what's really concerning. The pitching isn't doing well. The hitting isn't doing well. Nothing is going right. And the fact that I thought they were a good team when we faced them in the first series. I still think they got the good team to their bones. I think they're really strong and talented at the core.
Yeah.
But they are all getting off to horrible starts. And is it the whole Wilson Contreras new catcher thing for the pitching staff? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
Even if that is the problem, they have to rectify it because they signed this guy for long term.
I know.
They gave him money to be their catcher for the next, I forget what his contract is, but five, six years.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be your guy. You have to work it out.
Yeah.
You can't just decide a month into his contract that, okay, no, you're the DH now for the next 5 years. What?
Yeah.
Excuse me? That seems to me like a panicking move from an upper management guy that knows that his job is on the line right now if he does not turn something around immediately.
I know. I mean, there must be some sort of internal conversation going on because that is kind of wild. And actually, I did hear today that they were also kind of going back on it. No, he'll still catch some games, but mainly DH. So I don't really know what's going on. I think they're panicking. That's the moral of the story. They are panicking.
Yes,
right now.
absolutely. I don't think anybody expected this. Upper management, St. Louis Cardinals, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, you name it. They have no idea where they are right now. They are just shell-shocked.
Yeah.
My surprise of the season is also in the NL, but it is in the NL West, everybody. We just dealt with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they are a big surprise. But you could have argued that coming into the season, even a worse squad than them was the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have been horrible for a long period of time, just horrendous. And the fact that they are currently ranked higher than the San Diego Padres, who had one of the sexiest off seasons that we've seen in a while. You get Xander Bogaerts. They obviously had the big trade for Juan Soto. You got the Machado and the Tatis, and they're all extended and ready to go, right? It's like everything is like looking incredible for these San Diego Padres, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are ranked higher than you. And let me tell you guys, it is off of the back of a former Toronto Blue Jay right now.
I mean, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is very, very hot right now, folks. He's got an OPS of 142 plus. OPS plus. OPS is 885, so that's better than most Blue Jays right now. He is doing extremely well. I didn't expect him to get off to like this kind of start. Obviously, he was cold. Now he's like fun. Like he is like red hot. He is hell hot.
Yeah,
that's how hot he is right now. So that's very interesting to note. Gabriel Moreno, on the other hand, we're just kind of talking about former Blue Jays. We traded for Daulton Varsho, who's also hot himself. But then you got Gabriel Moreno with the bat. He's doing well with the batting average. You got to love to see that. But the on base percentage, where are the walks, my guy? Where's the slugging?
Yeah.
Overall, below average hitter. I mean, what do you think about Gabriel Moreno? Very interesting stat line at the beginning of the year, to be honest.
That's a ridiculous stat line, actually. Yeah, I mean, clearly, the problem is very clear. You have to work on your eyeball a little bit. The hitting is right there.
2 walks?
Two walks in 85 at bats.
Wow.
That is absolute insanity, guys. Yeah, so that just needs to increase. Clearly, he's a little bit trigger happy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like he is, he's getting a lot of time playing in the major leagues. Yeah. He's still a young guy, right? Like he's going to be a little bit over anxious. So that will hopefully come with, with time in the major leagues, and he'll become a little bit more patient. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. though, like that is phenomenal. And I mean, as a Blue Jays fan and as a guy who that was my favorite player, right? For a long period of time, was my favorite player. They're obviously, even though I'm very happy with Daulton Varsho so far, and I'm happy that he's getting hot, and I'd still probably make the trade. Like I'd still probably do that because I know that we needed more defense, and Daulton Varsho's got more time, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is going to be free agent very soon. But there is a small part of me in there looking at how good he's doing, knowing the character that he is, that regrets having it been him that had to go in the other direction.
I know, and I think you're never going to be, and you have to give up something to get something.
Sure.
And you're never going to be satisfied with a trade. Like it's not, first time we ever played fantasy, everyone out there is a fantasy lover. Like we all had those friends in our leagues where we could just rip off, send them garbage and get the great things, but this is real life. We had to give up a really good prospect and a really good player and a clubhouse presence.
Yeah.
And Lourdes Gurriel Jr. But at the end of the day, we have a better record than the Diamondbacks, even though they are doing pretty good right now. But, hey, we're overall doing a lot better than they were this time last year. So, at the end of the day, I think they made the right move.
For sure. And, I mean, if you, let's just say, for instance, it wasn't Lourdes Gurriel Jr. You still make the trade for Daulton Varsho, but let's say you give up somebody else, right? Maybe a prospect, another prospect on top of Gabriel Moreno. If you had all of that, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. probably wouldn't be doing as good as he is doing because he just wouldn't have as much of a starting role, right? Like he's locked in that Arizona team. Like he is a guy, he's a key player for them. If we had Daulton Varsho, him, George Springer, and Kevin Kiermaier, all circulating, like you just wouldn't have that.
You gotta give him away.
Exactly. And that's honestly, I made a short, and I talked about this in the live stream that we did yesterday. But I made a short about Kevin Biggio, and I argued the same point. Basically saying, how is it possible, how can we expect this guy to be any better than he is right now when, he's just rotating like every other game? Like maybe he's a pinch hitting, pinch running at this point. Like this guy has no idea what he is doing right now.
You could say the same thing right now about Gabriel Moreno. We had to give him up because he's going to be our third string catcher when we have Kirk and we have Danny Jansen. Like that's no place for a guy to develop. So what a better landing spot than to go over to the Arizona Diamondbacks who, they had a catcher in Daulton Varsho, turned him to an outfielder. They still needed a catcher. Well, look, we'll get Gabriel Moreno. We'll get another left fielder coming in, replacing Daulton Varsho. it's working out for them. And yeah, right now, to kind of circle all the way back to your whole point of being a breakout team in the Arizona Diamondbacks, it is really good. It is really good to see. I knew they were going to be good. Did I expect them to be over to the Padres at this point of the season? But no.
Yeah.
No, so keep it going.
Yeah,
keep
for real, man. Like, I'm happy that our former Blue Jays are doing what needs to be done. Shout out to the 69 people watching right now, guys. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like and the subscribe button. We really, really appreciate it. Let's transition now and talk a little bit about the news with Matt Chapman coming out and discussing the extension. Chapman, one of the best hitters so far this MLB season. Literally won Player of the Month in April, right? So you could argue best hitter so far. Been phenomenal for these Toronto Blue Jays. He is on the verge of getting paid this offseason, and we are now at that point because he is doing so good, because he's making such an impact. These conversations are gonna come up. You don't want him to go to free agency because he's gonna be monopolizing all of that market. But at the same point, it's very difficult to negotiate when his freaking agent is Scott Boras.
And that's exactly it. Guys, do not expect, even though right here, let me look at the article right here and I'll get to my point. You know, he was asked about staying with the team on a long-term deal. He said, of course. I mean, of course. Like, it's a possibility.
I'm hitting 350 right now.
I like this
is pretty
team.
good.
I'm on a winning team. Everyone loves me. This is great. He is open to an extension, of course. Now, in nowhere in this article does he say it's going to happen before he hits free agency. And Scott Boras, if y'all are familiar, he's all about getting his players the absolute bag when it comes to free agency. So you can't, if you want to get the bag, you've got to go test the market to get offers to go back to your team and get it done. Now, he does say, I know both parties want to make something happen. So you can have conversations like, okay, we understand you're going to hit free agency.
Yeah.
We want you to be right here. You let us know. What would you like? Maybe we can set something up for you, blah, blah, blah. And look, we all know, and if they want to talk, it's going to be with Scott. So they all already know, like, maybe we'll start talking to Scott right now. Okay, we know you're going to do this. As long as you keep that communication open, I think there could be a chance. This article and this conversation that's been leaked right now has made me feel just a little bit more hopeful that maybe it's possible. What do you think?
I mean, I think that you need to monopolize the time that you have, because this is the only moment where you have the exclusive rights to be communicating back and forth with Scott Boras about Matt Chapman, right? Other teams, they are not allowed to do that until he hits free agency. They're not allowed to negotiate. So we have that exclusive right. And if you don't monopolize it, and if you don't at least put feelers out there to start engaging with this, to tell Matt Chapman how much you want him to stay, and to get into that negotiation process with Scott Boras, then frankly you are wasting a golden opportunity. I still believe that there is no way in hell this guy doesn't go to free agency.
Oh, he will,
frankly.
100% go. Yeah.
Just because Scott Boras is Scott Boras. We've seen this time and time again. And Matt Chapman's situation is very unique. He is going to be far and away the best and frankly, only really notable third baseman on this free agent market.
I saw other people say, like, oh, we could go get Josh Donaldson. I'm sorry, guys. We're not going. That's the drop-off. Yeah. At that point, is Josh Donaldson.
It is such a cliff of difference from the talent of, and just the caliber of player that you were going to get from Matt Chapman to anyone else on free agency. And for that reason alone, it would honestly be literally negligent if he didn't go test the market.
I know, and he should, because this is the time to get paid, especially. Honestly, this could be a career season for him. Yeah. And if you have a career season, you're going to want to maximize the pay. And that's, I think, and not to get all negative here, but that's the one thing I am worried about, is that he's going to go test the market. The Blue Jays are going to try and get them. They're going to try to get Matt Chapman back. A little bit, maybe you have to overpay a little bit, and then maybe this is the best that maybe he's still good for a few more years. I think he still will be for a few more years after this, but then, how long is that deal going to be? It's Scott Boras, right? How much money is it going to be? I don't know. It all depends on what he does this season.
For sure, man. And right now, he is, if the season were to end right now, he'd be a top 5 and MVP candidate. Yeah. Right? He'd be top 5 there.
Could be even MVP.
He could even, right? Yeah. He could even, and he would get the absolute bag. Depending on how he does here is going to determine a lot about how much he gets paid. It's going to determine a lot about whether or not the Blue Jays are even going to be able to, engage in that conversation. Yeah. Because as this is happening, we didn't even plan to talk about this, but as this is happening, you also need to factor in Bo Bichette is hitting I don't even know what it is right now, but just a stupid number.
Dude.
Right? Just a stupid. Bo Bichette is showing why he could be the best hitter in all of baseball, right? Like, just not
He's
three.
at 329.
He's hitting 329 right now and consistently coming clutch. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's having the bounce back year that we all needed to see. And the clock is ticking.
I know.
The clock is ticking. There is no more messing around, guys. These are the extensions that really need to get done. I love Matt Chapman, but this is our core.
Because here's the thing with Bo Bichette, and again, I'm not trying to put Matt Chapman down. I'm not saying that this is his peak, but like we've never seen this his entire career.
Yeah.
He's at the age now where typically this is kind of peak level. You know what I mean? Whereas these boys, Bo Bichette and Vladdy, like I want to pay Matt Chapman a little bit more money because your peak could be later.
Totally.
It could be even later.
Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they're still climbing, and they're showing that they can do this at a consistent level. We saw a graphic that came out. We saw a statistic that came up at the beginning of the season that Guerrero and Bo Bichette, they are in the top 3 of hits in the American League in the last few seasons, right?
Yeah.
These guys are established elites in the game, and I'm starting to get a little worried right now that with, 2-3 more years left on the deal, there's going to be a few other teams, Mr. Steve Cohen, the LA Dodgers, kind of chomping at the bit over here and thinking, hey, you know what? I'm LA Dodgers. I could use a shortstop.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, right?
100%.
It's like, we cannot let that happen, guys, because we need them on this squad to be competitive.
I know. And hey, if they do sign Matt Chapman, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot harder to, shell out another $200 to $300+ million deal to 2 more dudes. So if you feel confident in him, like I say, if you want to sign him back, at least know in the back of your mind, Ross Atkins, and Mark Shapiro, you got to still pay for those boys. Like, we can't let them walk, man.
Listen.
We can't let them walk.
Listen, everybody. You sign Matt Chapman if you can. If you are the Toronto Blue Jays, you sign Matt Chapman. But do not let that contract be a factor in signing back Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
You sign him back, you pay him all the money, but you better make sure you got money in the bank for those 2 boys when it's time.
We need them, guys.
Agreed. What else are we talking about today? We got that. We got I do want to talk about this really quick, guys. Daulton Varsho. Obviously, we were looking at Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno a little bit earlier in this thing. Well, the guy that we got in return for him, Daulton Varsho, he's starting to show up.
Yes, he is
starting to come alive.
I know, and I love to see. What's crazy, at the beginning of this week, he was below the Mendoza line, and then I looked at, when we did our Sunday watch, and I was like, wait, he's batting 235?
Literally.
Like, what happened?
Just took off.
He took off. He had an incredible week, and it's to complement his amazing defense as well, right? You got Toronto Sun talking about it here. And, dude, this is what we need. He's quietly been doing this when you have guys like Matt Chapman. You have guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and, Bo Bichette all doing it. The fact that he's coming in now and starting to do his job, this is good. Some guys are cold right now like George Springer, right? It's okay because, Daulton Varsho can come in and support the team as well. Maybe 100%. There'll be a little bit of a switch, but I'm loving it. Speaking of the trade with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno, guys, I'm good with what we got in return for Daulton
Absolutely, dude. This is the type of player that we needed back. I'm not okay with having a guy batting 4th who's below the Mendoza line. You just cannot do that. Daulton Varsho, he's never been a contact bat, but if he wants to hit 240, 250 come the end of the season with a little bit of pop, with some good on base, and the defense, I am so okay with that, man. And you got to remember, folks, this is a core piece. We have him for several years after this.
And you know, I'm glad what he did this week. He changed his batting, his stride. Right, he lifted his leg a little bit. He turns the front hip a bit. It's those little adjustments that, like, man, you could have been doing that. That you could have said, "Oh, I'm gonna trust the process until like August, still be hitting 212," and you're like, "Oh crap," because that's what Matt Chapman did last year.
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh crap, I did not really make a midseason adjustment, and I'm okay with this year." But then, obviously the payroll starts coming, and he's like, "I gotta change."
Yeah.
Whereas Daulton Varsho is like, "No, screw it. I'm gonna change in May," and he's showing, and that's why he's doing well. And honestly, that. For me, when I see that mechanical change, like a physical change with how you're playing the game, I start to believe you a lot more than just, he's starting to hit for some reason now. Yeah. I trust this a lot more.
I agree, dude. So awesome that is working out for Daulton Varsho. You love to see it. One more piece of news before we get to our Jay of the Week and our predictions for next week. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., wrist injury. You hate to see it. Little bit of news coming out about this. Basically, the update is it's minor. You had John Schneider come out yesterday. What is the quote? Go down a little bit. Where did he say something? He said something about something. No. It's got to be higher than that. Yeah. Where did he say something? Oh, yeah, right there. Right. Yeah. So he felt a little bit better yesterday, or he felt a little bit better today, and we'll see how he is on Tuesday. Yeah. And basically, the way that everybody is talking about this right now on Twitter and how John Schneider's kind of addressing it is I wouldn't be 100% shocked if we don't see him in the lineup for one or two of the games in Philly. Yeah. But it doesn't look like an IL stint, and that's what's most important.
That's positive, right? And especially you had him injured for the last 2 games of the Pittsburgh series, and guess what? The bats, they were just fine. Yeah. So these guys can support a vacant hole with that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Brandon Belt stepping up to the plate, literally, and filling in the shoes of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting hot this week. So I'm not worried, and I'm glad it's not an IL stint. Honestly, if he needs to skip all Phillies, go back home. Yeah. Go back home, get ready for Friday against the Red Rays.
I completely agree, dude. I completely agree. We have a ridiculously hard stretch coming up for the next month and a half, guys. Healthy Guerrero is critical in picking up some W's. I'd much rather him miss 2 games now than miss 15 games later.
100%.
You know, so he should be okay, guys. We don't think he's going to the IL, but don't be shocked if he misses 1 or 2 more games
Don't get worried. Don't get worried.
All right, folks, with all of that being said, let's look at some of the key contributors from this past week. We lost 4, but then we won 3, so again, roller coaster of a week. Yeah. Who did well?
Yeah, no, you're not going to dive into a lot of details with the whole, who did well in the Boston series in terms of pitching, because they all did horrible. They all did horrible. And then the whole Pittsburgh series, we just completely were the opposite. We all did incredibly well, so I'm really not going to, pinpoint players. I really think the Boston Red Sox were doing something special. Yeah. Sorry, not to derail the conversation. I want to get to who doing well. But I saw something on Twitter being like, are the Boston Red Sox cheating? Because their OPS at home is day and night better than the away.
Really?
I'm not saying they are, but someone brought it up. It's something I want to keep looking at for. It could be a random stat, but they are incredible at home.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it's probably got to be a random stat, unless we see something else happen. But, I mean...
I don't know. Whatever.
Keep an eye on it.
Point being, we sucked. Our pitching really sucked against the Red Sox at Fenway Park. And then we were really good at PNC Park. But the guys who did well, obviously, Bo Bichette just staying absolutely hot. He almost hit 400 this week. Guerrero, even though he only had 4 games, still hit 2 knocks. And that's honestly, that's it for, not to spoil our Jay of the Week. Yeah. Kind of sort of things from the offense. Obviously, you have Belt, who is doing hot now, stepping in. And then on the pitching side of things, the only starting pitcher who really didn't get rocked up, that's just because he didn't start in that series against Boston, was Chris Bassett. Yeah. Best outing of the year by far, you could argue. 7 innings, 0 earned runs. That's really incredible.
So happy so far with that Bassett signing.
Me
that's
too.
Major, and you're looking at this team as a whole right now. Could you imagine if it was just a rando in that spot?
Exactly.
Take away 3 or 4 W's if there's a rando there.
I know. Absolutely.
So, Bassett, we love you, man.
Absolutely.
Now, everybody, it's time for the Jay of the Week.
Yes, and if you probably were like, wait, where's this guy you were mentioning? It's pretty obvious we were just talking about how elite he was. The Jay of the Week has to be our new acquisition, Mr. Daulton Varsho. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
And this week, folks, Daulton Varsho popped the hell off. He went 11 for 28. That's just under a 400 batting average. He hit 3 homers, led the entire Blue Jays that week. 9 RBIs. That led the Blue Jays. 4 runs scored. And here's what's good to see. This is the new plate approach, too. He strikes out a lot. He had 2 walks and 3 strikeouts, so that line's getting a lot more closer to 1 for 1, which you love to see. Yep. And he also just sprinkle in 3 doubles in there, so he had 6 extra base hits of the 11 hits he had.
Man, and he really stepped up too, right? Because again, with Guerrero out of the lineup, I mean, in that last game, he was batting 3rd.
Exactly.
Right? So it's that's great to know that he can step up and he can play that role.
Which at first I'm like, ooh, when I first saw that, again, he was getting hotter in Boston, but I didn't put any weight to it until I saw him kept doing it in Pittsburgh.
Totally.
And but I was like, ooh, I don't know. But He can bat third. Keep
so
going.
hopefully this past week is the beginning of like a really strong month of May or something.
Yes, this is the Marcus Semien month of May. Remember Marcus Semien in May?
Horrible in April, and then just went nuclear in May.
I would love that.
Okay, guys, let's take a look at what we have coming up this week. Obviously, no Blue Jays tonight, so a little bit of a quieter week. Only 5 games. Honestly, I'm down for it with the Guerrero injury, with the way that our bullpen got worked over in Boston and whatever. Like, I'm down for a little bit of a quieter one, and especially with all the competition coming up. So, 2 games in Philly. What are we thinking?
Oh man, it's gonna be tough, man. This is probably the hardest pitching matchup of any week that we've broken down so far in the 2022 season. I know it is. When I read these names, you're going, God damn. This is gonna be tough.
They're all 99% owned in fantasy. You know?
Oh yes, they are. Actually, maybe the last guy's probably like 89, 90. You know, like people are starting to realize he's good. First matchup tomorrow, we've got Alek Manoah versus Aaron Nola.
Okay.
Aaron Nola, however, is kind of off to an Alek Manoah-like start. He's got a 4.64 ERA, Manoah 4.71, so it's not like Nola's on his best game either.
Similar, very
right?
similar.
And then on Wednesday, you've got Gausman, our ace right now, if you don't want to count Kikuchi, versus Zach Wheeler, who is also off to a rockier start. But we know that Nola and Wheeler, like, those are the Phillies' best 2 pitchers. Sure. So we're getting, and these are supposed to be our best 2 pitchers. So that's going to be the quick 2-game series there. What are your thoughts on the road in Philadelphia?
Very even matchup there, man. I do think like the Phillies got off to a rocky start, but they're starting to come around. Big boy Bryce, he's back. Dude, this guy, like, literally off of Tommy John, he strikes out 3 times in the first game, and then he goes, like, I think he went, like 4 for 5 or something the next game. Like, now he's batting 375. It's just, it's a generational talent. I think we win one and we lose one. 1 for 1.
Yeah, win one, lose one. If I would put money on it, probably the Gausman game we win. The one on Wednesday, guys. So that's going to be the Philly series. Real quick road stop, or a little pit stop there as we make our way back to Toronto. Another off day. Only 5 games this week, folks, so not a lot of baseball. But then we're going back home. Atlanta Braves, ranked number 2 in the MLB power rankings. They are 24-11. Their last 10, they're 7-3. So they're really good. This is where the matchups gets even harder, folks. We got Chris Bassett. He's got a 4.28 ERA, but we know that number is probably going to be a lot lower at the end of the year. Going up against Max Fried. This is arguably their ace, 2.08 ERA. He's dominant. And the reason why I say arguable is because the next day, we're getting a guy who's been compared to Jacob deGrom in the beginning of his career.
He's phenomenal.
Spencer Strider is going to be facing against these Blue Jays, 2.70 ERA, and we've got Jose Barrios on the mound on that game. That's a little rocky. Not sure we're going to get there. And then on Sunday to round it out, we've got Yusei Kikuchi, who I actually love. You love me some Yusei Kikuchi, 3.35 ERA. He's up against Elder, which is the one guy who, like, I was like, who's this? Oh, it's just another guy on the Atlanta Braves who's pitching sub 2 ERA. He's got a 1.74 ERA.
So there's not a single guy who's got an ERA higher than 3.
No.
Yeah, from the Atlanta Braves pitching staff. Listen, guys, I love these Toronto Blue Jays, but this one's a hard one to predict for me because there is very few teams that I would say are just clearly better than we are. But I do believe that the Atlanta Braves undoubtedly are they're a higher caliber squad. They are a higher caliber squad.
More proven. Their pitching is just so pristine, dominant. Their lineup is a lot like our lineup. It's really powerful, can pop off at any time.
Any moment.
But that bullpen and that pitching rotation is just it's a tier or 2 above us.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
it's tough, man, because like I think they're a better team, but I also think that we're at home. You know, so that's a boost for us, but I also think, you know, and we can win. We can definitely win, but it is going to be bloody difficult. I'm so split here, man. It's no sweep either way in my opinion.
No.
I'm just so split between, you know, we lose 2 or we win 2. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think we only take 1 here, folks. I mean, we have literally the back half of our rotation versus the front half of their rotation.
It's a bad time to face them.
It's just a bad time to face them, even though, yes, we are at the Rogers Center. I mean, we are coming off, you know, if you think about it this way, like, coming off of a long road trip like this, and then going back home, it's like you're still kind of jet lagged and delayed. So, like, home field advantage, yes, the fans, but, like, even your body, you're still trying to get adjusted from all the traveling. And, again, just the matchups. I think I would safely say we would probably drop 2 versus take 2 more times than not. So my predictions on this week, we're going to go 2 and 3. Not ideal, but it's going to be a tough week, and it's going to be a tough next few weeks when we look ahead.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'd probably, if I had to put money on it, I would also say 2 and 3. But if there's any way that we can walk away with a positive week here, go 3 and 2. I mean, again, looking at the pitching, looking at where we're going, I think that's a massive W considering. Yeah,
honestly, I think we got to salvage it because, look, then we can, for the following week, we have Yankees. We know they're not doing that well. My opinion of that logo when I see it is getting a little bit different.
Sure.
They're so injured right now. And then you got the number 2 or number 3 ranked in the MLB Power Rankings.
Hey, listen, we're going to learn a lot about the Baltimore Orioles because they have a killer series right now against Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Honestly, seeing how they match up against them, if they take some from Tampa Bay,
they're good.
I'm literally looking at Baltimore like, are they better than us? If they're beating Tampa Bay,
we're gonna see. But if they're beating Tampa Bay, I'm like, well, they could be better than the Yankees.
Oh, sure, they are. In my opinion, they're better than the Yankees right now. They're better than the Yankees.
Have they faced the Yankees this year? I actually don't. I think they have. I don't know what they did. But again, this AL East is messed up.
It is messed up good, dude. All right, folks. So those are our predictions for the week coming up. You guys let us know in the comments down below. Are you riding with us? Do you have something different? What did we get wrong? Now, everybody, we got
to do our
another fun segment presented to you by...
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
The spinning fortune, baseball, colorful, future determining, stat analyzing, and it's a wheel that we spin every week.
It's the wheel!
It's the wheel, everybody. The one that we spin every single week. If you guys are following along, it was my week last week. I've been putting in work, everybody. I ended up taking 2. Adam lost 1. And if you guys are, good at math, or you're keeping track of this, that means I'm up by 6. Which is effectively 2 sweeps.
Yeah,
at least
that's a lot.
2 weeks of buffer. So that's a good area right now.
Tampa Bay rang me right now. I gotta get out of this hole.
Absolutely.
I gotta get out of this hole fast,
yeah,
folks.
you do need to start taking a few off of me. So I think it's your week this week.
It is my week. It is my week.
So let's spin this bad boy and see what we're gonna get.
Let's go, guys, and as well, play along with us and comment in the live chat in the comments who you would take for this week's wheel.
So far this year, there has not been a bonus player thrown, and we are starting off with K per 9.
I'm not making this mistake again.
Yeah.
I took this. I let the pass happen. I gotta go Kevin Gausman. That's
the right
lock.
choice. It's the
a
right
lock
choice.
now.
Yeah. It is the right choice.
Now you gotta make your decision, sir.
So how did we all do last week? Barrios, Povichet's obviously saying Gausman. Gausman's the right.
Gausman's easy. Let me
right way to go.
Let me write this in here so that first.
Yeah.
And
Gausman's such a clear choice right there.
Gausman, because last year we were all even, and then. In terms of K per 9s, there was no clear choice, and then this year it's just clear Gausman.
So I'll tell you who I'm not choosing is I'm definitely not going to be choosing Alek Manoah.
No, he does not.
Because Alek Manoah has been not striking out at all, and Chris Bassett, he is not been striking out a lot either.
He doesn't strike people out. Honestly, for me, it's either Kikuchi or Barrios.
It's literally either Kikuchi or Barrios.
If we go strikeouts. Barrios is 41 to 40.
Barrios is better than Kikuchi.
You gotta go Barrios.
I think that I have to go Jose Barrios here. Yeah. Actually, who's he playing?
He's gonna be playing the Braves. Yeah, I'm facing the Phillies.
Yeah, I know you. I feel like you definitely have the better matchup here. I have to go Jose Barrios and just hope for the upside, but I feel like this is one of the categories that you gotta win.
Absolutely, you have to. I gotta win something.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep spinning it, folks. Let's keep spinning. You got Bassett in there. Gausman, that's also all the guys. Come on, bonus player.
No, we haven't. It's coming around.
It's coming.
Get around. Yes.
All
RBIs, everybody.
All right. So you do got Daulton Varsho is popping off. He's gonna be middle of that lineup. Vladdy is still hurt. That's a big factor. And with 5 games, if he misses a game or 2, that could be a difference maker for me.
It's absolutely a difference maker.
Varsho's hot. Chapman's always right there. Chapman had 0 RBIs last week. 0.
I mean, I feel like that's just a kind of a blip. Again, he is starting to cool off. He is starting to cool off. We knew this was going to happen eventually, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see another big Matt Chapman week soon. So.
Yeah. And then you got Bo Bichette, who's just consistent. He doesn't get that many RBIs. He had 7 runs scored, 4 RBIs because he's batting second. I honestly, I think I'm going to go with my gut here. It's screaming Varsho right now with the J of the week.
That's
because
reasonable.
3 hitter, he's going to be in the lineup. He's going to be batting 4th. He's going to have a lot of RBI opportunities for Bo Bichette, Vladdy when he comes back, and Matt Chapman.
No. I absolutely hear you, dude. I think that's a strong choice. And now this is where, guys, I gotta roll the dice here. Do I believe that Guerrero is gonna be back tomorrow? Because if I believe that, then I think that's the clear choice. If I don't believe that, I think I have to go Bo Bichette here. I do think that he's just consistently, he's going to do it. And if Bo Bichette knocks in like 2 home runs or something like that, then, that could be the difference maker.
Bo Bichette is saying, Nick, pick me.
I know he's saying that, man, but I'm just not, I'm not convinced. And you guys are saying 2-hit Witt. That's honestly not a bad option either, man.
He's moving up a bit in the lineup.
He was going crazy.
He was.
Danielle's saying Matty Ice.
See, that's why I knew I know no one's really saying Varsho, but I feel good about him.
Yeah, well, again, if he does continue what he's doing, then that's going to be big.
And I believe it because he literally physically changed what he was doing, and it was like dramatic results immediately.
Oh, damn it. This one's tough, man. You know what? I'm just going to hope for the best and go Guerrero.
Yeah.
And just hope that he does come back tomorrow.
Pops a couple and he's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So this means that you get the last category to go first. Let's see what you get.
Come on. What are we doing here, team? What are we doing?
Like
no bonus player, it looks like.
And
it's gonna be.
I gotta spin again. Spin again, folks.
Spin again, team. Gotta spin again.
Bo Bichette very upset you didn't pick him.
Prove me wrong this week, Bo. Score all the RBIs. Oh, get around.
And K batters. Okay. Let's take a look here, folks. I actually have the Ks right here for the last week. Springer had 3, Bichette had 6, Guerrero had 5. He did miss 2 games. Varsho dropped a lot. Actually, Matty Ice had 10. He struck out a lot last week.
Oh, that seems like a strong choice.
Yeah,
that seems like a strong. Even when Matt Chapman is hitting 350, bro.
I know.
Like even in the weeks where he was going crazy, he was still striking out. Like
I know he's still
6-7 times.
I know.
When he gets out, he strikes out.
I know.
I think that's a strong choice.
Yeah, you gotta go Chapman. That feels like an easy lock. And I gotta go. It's so funny. You're saying the same thing. Like Bichette strikes out a ton. Like if I'm looking at the team player hitting here, I'm doing a little bit of a research here, folks.
That's how he gets out. Because we know he's gonna swing at everything.
He's gonna be swinging.
So,
I mean, yeah, you have Brandon Belt, but like Brandon Belt might play a little bit, but like it's the playing time for me. Matty Ice is definitely. Varsho does strike out, but I can't. Do I want to double down on the Varsho RBI?
That's the thing. You're already saying Varsho's gonna have a good week.
Exactly.
So you can't really do that.
I think then it's just a huge drop off. Do I take a risk and go Brandon Belt? Do I take a risk and go Brandon Belt?
I don't think that's horrible, man. Like
he's got 33, even though he has literally almost half of Matt Chapman's playing time. He's got 33 strikes. Okay, screw it. I mean, I don't want to really go Bo Bichette because I don't think I'm gonna have a chance there. I'm gonna go Brandon Belt.
I think that's reasonable, man. I do think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Like it didn't work for me this time, but I went Kirk last week with walks.
Yeah.
And he was very close.
Very close.
With half of the at bats.
Yeah, exactly.
If he just would have had it, he definitely would have done it. So if Belt does, honestly, for you, if Guerrero's hurt this week, that's massive.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then Belt is gonna play, and he will strike out.
Yeah.
So that could be the difference maker. Folks, let us know your thoughts about everything that we talked about in the comments down below. The upcoming week, the wheel, Tampa Bay being a lead, Baltimore, the Arizona Diamondbacks, literally all of it. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below.
Yeah, guys, and if you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream before you head out and hit that subscribe button so you guys can be tuning into every single Blue Jays Today show. These are happening mostly on Sundays, but sometimes on off-day Mondays, we'll do the show here. So, guys, you don't want to miss a single thing.
Shout out to our Patreon members and our YouTube members. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays, go!